What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global back here with another draft prospect video. And as I'm recording this, I'm realizing that literally every single one of my draft prospect videos, I believe at least, have been wide receiver. And of course, that is one of the Patriots' biggest needs. But I'm definitely gonna try to drop some other, prospect videos. Maybe a cornerback, because there's some other guys I've been looking into. But you guys have really just been asking for wide receivers, so that's what I've been giving. But I'm gonna try to throw some versatile in there. So today we are going to be talking about Hunter Renfrow from Clemson. This is a guy that a lot of you actually have been asking me to make a video about, and for a guy that's projected to be I believe it is a a 5th to 6th round draft selection with the possibility of going in the 7th round. It really surprised me that a lot of you wanted me to make a video on this, and there actually is one guy who, I'm blanking on the name, dude. I'm sorry if you're watching this video. Well, I'm sure you are, but comments on every single one of my videos asking me to do a video on this guy. Well, here you go, bro. This is your video. This is for you. And when I looked into him like I promised, I could definitely see why you guys liked him. Now, to start off with his build, he is not a guy who's going to bring much. I mean, he does not have great arm length or anything. His height is 5'10". He's 184 pounds, so doesn't have a great build nor the height. But we've seen so many times that does not matter. You can always, put on some weight. And at the combine, he ran a 4.59 for his 40-yard dash. That it's not anything terrible. I wouldn't, say he's terrible at that, but definitely not great speed. Nothing, real ideal, but it could be worse, trust me. In college, Renfro actually started to be a really good producer at wide receiver. He started to be a go-to guy, one of those more top-notch type of players. But as time went on, he started to become less of a factor. He kind of started to really drop. And really that just came because of so much of young talent at the wide receiver position that came on his college team. So Hunter Renfrow is a guy who is a sure-handed slot receiver, a guy who you can count on to make pretty much every catch that is thrown his way. But like I mentioned, he does lack the size and speed, but he creates catch opportunities for himself by varying routes, with his route speed and running highly focused routes. And that is something that I think Bill Belichick and the Patriots are really going to love. This guy does not necessarily have the build, he doesn't have the speed, but he has sure-minded hands, and he has very crisp routes. He's very focused on his routes, and that's literally the perfect definition of what, a perfect wide receiver is for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, because you know what? If you can catch the ball when it's thrown to you, and you can make sure that you run the exact routes that Tom Brady is giving you, then you can do a lot more than you think. His lack of vertical push will have nickel cornerbacks looking to smother him before he can even get out of the gates. But because of his skills, because of, his football IQ, his, most importantly, his mindset, and just the ability to create contested catches is what will make him a mid to later round selection. Now, some really good things about him is that there's never been a stage that has been too big for him. And what I mean by that is there's never been a game that he's ever gotten nervous or too hyped about or anything like that. There is some guys who, for instance, they go to the Super Bowl and they don't play like themselves because they're on the biggest stage ever. They start freaking out. They're not playing themselves. But this is a guy who can play on any stage and it's not too big for him. And something a lot of you guys are going to like is that this guy excels in the clutch. This guy shows up whenever you really need him at the most needed time. Someone, that we've seen that in Julian Edelman or Rob Gronkowski, Danny Amendola, guys like that. He has had 17 catches for 180 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2 title games against Alabama. He does a really good job at recognizing when he is in the hot read and when he kind of just needs to get separated. His breaks are really sharp and extremely powerful, something that I've seen a lot in Julian Edelman. That's kind of where my comparison comes in, which I compared Julian Edelman and, Deebo Samuel, but Julian Edelman just really pops out to me here. You could also say like a guy like Wes Welker, even a Danny Amendola, but he also has little to no wasted motion. He is able to work across any defender no matter what his leverage is. He has one of the best awarenesses that I've seen, probably in out of all of the, maybe not all, but pretty much most of the draft prospects that I've talked about and looked into. He just has amazing awareness. There's nothing that I could even say about him more than his ability to know where he is on the field, to know where the defenders are, to know where his quarterback is, just in general being aware of his surroundings. I can't praise him enough for that. Just like Deebo Samuel, this is another guy who always is working aggressively to get back to the football. A guy that Tom Brady can really, again, direct when he's on that field, mid-play, go forward, come back, go left, go right, and he'll get the gist. He has really good and sharp reflexes, and he has elite hand-eye coordination as a pass catcher. He's a guy that really snatches catches. So, say a defender is really going for that ball. Hunter Renfrow is a guy who can really grab that ball, be super aggressive with it, and just snatch it away. And he is also the type of guy to make a quick and elusive move after the catch underneath. Now, again, he is undersized, and I think that's one of the biggest things about him is that he is so small, he is so undersized, and he is going to have to add more mass and, importantly, more strength to his frame. Now, especially going into the NFL, can't stress that enough either. That's something that Braxton Berrios actually needed, and Braxton Berrios is bigger than this guy, but Braxton Berrios needed to add more strength and mass to himself also, which he has been. He is not a fast guy by any means. He is quick, but he isn't fast, and really just lacks that speed to threaten over-the-top nickel defenders. He's found a lot easier of a job creating, that release from rub routes and bunch formations. He's a guy that really lacks just an explosive athletic trait. He's also never had a game with 100 receiving yards or more. Now, again, a big part of that comes down to where he was in college and the depth that came at wide receiver. Like I said, there was a lot of young athletic talent at the wide receiver position, so he really just got pushed down on the depth chart. So I honestly don't know how much of that was his fault. He's also another guy who, this is pretty self-explanatory when I talked about his size and, his small arms, but he does have a very, well, not very low, but a smaller catch radius than most other, wide receivers in this draft will. Due to his size and speed limitations, it will require accurate trigger man for intermediate throws. And lastly, he isn't a guy who is said to create those, yards after the catch. He isn't a guy who is going to stiff arm defenders and get 10 yards after the catch or juke them out and go for, a 20-yard touchdown after the catch. He's likely to prove to have some struggles actually breaking tackles, but in the end, if he's a guy that can make contested catches, can get open, can run really crisp routes and know where he is on the field, then that really doesn't matter. But that is it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on Hunter Renfrow? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure you guys like and subscribe, as helps me, the channel, and even you guys out very, very, very much. Make sure you guys share this video with everybody who knows the Patriots Global family. And other than that, I will catch you guys in another video.
In Astroworld.